All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us again for another edition of our Franchise Your Business and webinar podcast and webinar series. My name is Tom Dufour. I'm the founder and CEO of Big Sky Franchise Team. And if you're new to us or just joining, this series has been going on for, goodness, over 5 years now. And we love to bring you relevant, useful content and resources to help you on whatever stage you're in your franchise journey. Whether you're just launching, whether you're a new franchisee or a seasoned franchisor looking for new ways to improve or help your system for your franchisees, we've got all kinds of great resources for you. And today, by chance, is no different. And before we jump into an overview on the show, just a quick reminder, if you have not subscribed to our podcast or YouTube channel, we encourage you to do so. You can do that at YouTube. Our channel is Big Sky Franchise Team. That's Big Sky Franchise Team. Or on our podcast, on whichever your favorite podcast service is, you can find the Franchise Your Business webinar, and then subscribe additionally to our second podcast called Multiply Your Success. So with that, I'd love to introduce you to our guest today. And our guest today is Bryan Clark, and he's the president of CentriSoft. And and he's the president of CentriSoft, where he leads the development of Sentry Point of Sale, POS, Sentry Pay, and connected business automation systems for retail, service, nonprofit, and emerging franchise brands, a la part of the great reason we're excited to have him on the program today. His work focuses on helping businesses replace scattered software with repeatable operating workflows that connect the customer journey from first inquiry to completed sale, payment, follow-up, review, and reporting. Bryan also leads Mac Mattress, a family-owned mattress retailer based in Columbus, Ohio, preparing for franchise growth, giving him a hands-on view of what operators actually need from technology. And so the thing that I love about Bryan coming in is not just some tech guy coming up with some solution or some idea or thing. He's actually in the business, in the space, and saw a need in the market that created a solution. And I'm sure he'll get into the story here. So through CentriSoft, he helps businesses think beyond websites, CRM, point of sale, and payments as separate tools, and instead build the operating system needed to scale with confidence. So Bryan, with that, I'd love to turn things over to you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Tom. It's a pleasure to be here with you on the show and the chance to get to say hello and show some of the ways we might be able to help people.
Well, thank you so much for being here. And I know we had talked a little bit before show about, or pre-show, a little bit about an overview and giving just a bit of a description. So I'd love for you to feel free to jump into that here.
Fantastic. Well, let me get my screen back up here.
Yes, I can see it.
Excellent. So when you find CentriSoft, what is CentriSoft? The idea is that a lot of what you said were built on purpose, your purpose, and driven by people. We weren't born in a boardroom. We're born from a simple frustration watching people with great missions, great ideas getting left behind by the ever-evolving stack of technology that changes each and every day. It's quite a mess. And kind of where it all started, a lot of what you said, I sat for years from the table from nonprofit leaders, pastors, small business owners, pouring all of their time and effort into their missions, only to feel so overwhelmed and undisturbed and lost. Now, I won't go super into the bio. You already did that. This is on getsentry.com. But we started in 2018 as Clarksite Solutions, more so focused on web design, marketing, that kind of thing. And then slowly as we got going, the more we realized these hurdles were and the more we worked to help people overcome them, rebranded to the Clarksite Solutions again in 2021 with that transforming presence thought. And then in 2024, fully moved over to CentriSoft, being that one-stop shop for all of the digital technology solutions that we look to bring business owners today, especially emerging franchise brands. So today I'm super excited to talk about one of our solutions called Sentry POS or Sentry Point of Sale. And when we get into looking at Sentry Point of Sale, we want to ask businesses a couple of key questions. One of them is, Why do I need a point of sale? Some people are just fine running things on a spreadsheet or on paper. Believe it or not, still happens if you're one of those. It's okay. We're here to help. Um, and there's lots of different functions that go into point of sales. If you start looking at cloud-based this, hardware-based that, where do I make my choices? There's so many out there. I'm not going to start naming brands right now, but I'd be happy to jump on a call and let you know what we've learned if anybody's ever interested. So when we jump into what makes up a point of sale, there's some things that were really important for us coming from the mattress world, for example. So again, this is a point of sale built by retail for retail, and then also being CentriSoft, we're service-based. So we have a lot of commitment to service-based businesses as well, and one system that can bring all of those things together. And we want to ask ourselves, where is my inventory? Where are my sales? Where are my customers? Where's my online presence? Where are my communications going? Who's picking up the phone? Who's calling me? Where do all of these things meet? And it can be such a web of trying to figure out where those things come together. A la Sentry, the idea is that it's centric, central comes together, point of sale. So I hope you're kind of tracking the, the terminology there. Um, the first thing that you're going to see when you launch in is a simple welcome screen. Again, this is going to be a lot of demo data we look at today, so don't pay attention to any real addresses or customer names or anything like that. It's all fabricated for the purposes of today. There's a lot of great numbers and things we get to look at when we're looking through this demo. But the first thing you would notice when you launch is a really simple locations choice. So whether you're a single business with one location, maybe you're that early budding franchisor who wants to see, am I franchisable? Well, we work with those small budding based businesses, whether it's one location, or in this case, we're going to look at what a actual franchise network might look like. So again, multi locations, and then also a network that feeds other multi locations. How does that really feed out across? Um, and when you're looking at the welcome screen, it's very simple. You get to,
And Bryan, real fast, I just want to emphasize a point here, or just kind of bring up a quick thing, or interject if that's okay. Just on, you talked about the single unit, a multi-unit, and then kind of this enterprise or large system. I'm thinking of a franchise system as an example, that maybe there's a large multi-unit operator that owns a bunch of franchises, or a master system, and all of these different complexities. You're saying that from a single location up to this, enterprise type deal, you're able to support and help any brand or company in any of those situations.
absolutely.
Okay,
From the smallest to generally the biggest, we have some solutions and ways in which to support those efforts.
great.
So
Thank
we're
you.
not going to
Sorry
go.
for interrupting.
Please feel free. Thank you. I'm not going to go piece by piece through every single screen because that would be very tedious, and I don't think that's what anybody wants to do today. We're going to talk about the fun stuff. But once you launch the system, it's very, very clean, very simple. You get to pick your location. You pick the register you're working out of, because again, in retail, you're generally going to have registers that you attach things to. If you're service based, you're still going to have a register to attach those operations or those cash flow points to for reporting purposes. And then when you pick your location, you get to go through, um, just quickly show you what this might look like. Go through and pick your register. Really clean navigation up here to see that that register is closed currently. You're allowed to open the register, and then as soon as you do, again, this is demo data, it will bring you to a sales dashboard where you can key in the products you're trying to sell, follow that through to integrated payments, and issue the receipts. Once you issue the receipts, it brings you to a great receipt dashboard where you can see everything at a glance. So you can see the location that it happened, the receipt number, the date, all of those things, the products that were purchased. Everything is linked. So when you see your products in a receipt, you pull up the same product modal. You can see the stock, the pricing, create labels to print. You can customize your labels. All of these things that are super important for high speed retail, especially. But again, service wise, I'm imagining a service based person in a warehouse needing to get their bundle ready to sell as a product so they can get the right tools for the right job at the right time. You can slap those labels on there as well to make sure things are put together, that this project belongs here, and so on and so forth. There's some order intake features when you work with custom accounts and things like that. Invoicing, we have fulfillment and delivery services, and you can calculate delivery based on a variety of different metrics. So whether it's in town or it's a little further than that, you can calculate on mileage, all kinds of great tools baked into this to help A to Z to achieve really single stop shop fulfillment and selling at a very high level, but something that's also very easy. The biggest thing of what we're going to talk about today is how that contact data works together. So whether it's the inventory, for example, we're looking at this product here, whether it's the product level itself, whether what how it's sold, when it's sold, where the movement is, whether there's a communication, the most important piece of the software is your contact panel. So some of the really key features we have in here obviously is the name of the customer. You have the ability to add photos for some places that's important too. You can have your camera set up at your desk, at your station, snap that photo, attach it to their record. I think loyalty programs are a huge endeavor, and attaching those addresses and things and phone numbers and emails through a loyalty program, which we also support with loyalty features, is a great way to keep track of your contacts when they flow through. We have we have an integration with a couple of different features. One is called DialPad. And if you've never heard of DialPad is a phenomenal phone solution for the smallest of business to the largest of business with incredible amounts of AI baked in. AI just transforms so much when you can speed up your response times and your quality of response is what it helps with. And with that DialPad integration, we have the ability to dial straight through the software to that customer's phone through these call functions. And it says temporarily unavailable because it's demo data. We don't have an active dial pad installation. You can message that customer, so you can text them right from the software. You can see their texts come back through an integrated activity panel. You have tasks management, store credit, accounts, and accounts are great because it keeps track of if they have anything open, saved. Maybe you sell an account, you invoice them later, and a running list of all the receipts that they may have come in over time and purchased. So a lot and a payment methods on file when you use our integrated payment methods as well. So you can always re-invoice or recharge a customer. But as soon as you can grab on, whether it's notes or any of these other features with customers, that's when a point of sale becomes more than just transferring an item from one person to another and changing some cash over, but to really stitching business together and keeping the longevity of who you're interacting with and the way you're interacting with them when you can actually interact with that contact data so personally. The most important part is our intelligence platform of how that contact data really comes to life. So we'll talk about the intelligence platform and then the reporting platform. And if you have any other questions, feel free to interject as we go. When we look at stores with teams, different people have different skill level when it comes to selling or interacting, whether it's on the phone, in person, and there might be some training opportunities. And when we look at our interaction scores, on every receipt, you have the ability to score an interaction, whether that was a return visit, whether it was a return phone call, whether it was a first visit, all kinds of customizable pieces to understand what happened, the context of that sale, as well as maybe it's a lost sale. Maybe it's a lost interaction, a lost opportunity. Whether a phone call or a customer, they come in, they call, they visit, they have an interaction with the business, and then maybe it doesn't go anywhere. The lost ones are just as important as the won ones because that's when your insights start to become relevant. And when we look at things, especially as a franchise or network, you have the ability to see the associates at large throughout the associate gathering, the registers throughout the network that may be created, the locations throughout the network based on businesses and different things. And then you
And,
start to
and
track
Bryan, real fast, sorry to interrupt. The registers, that's going to be any terminal, right? Any terminal that might be set up wherever it happens to be located, whatever kind of restaurant or retail or whatever, maybe even a remote for a service employee or a handheld for a service employee that's maybe out in the field of some kind. Does that make sense?
Exactly correct. Exactly
Okay.
correct.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure on that.
Mhm. A location may have several registers and may have one, depends on the makeup of the business, but absolutely it could be that anything you'd want to tie your data to and kind of put in a bucket so you know what happened at X place or Y place you have the ability to attach that to a register. And the reporting data is going to come down to that register and even that user level. So you get to start to see your linked revenue, how many quotes are saved based on the number of sales that come through, the close rates, all these different interactions, and then what needs attention. So if there's some source leakage where there's a 59% close rate across 30 interactions of your social media, hey, maybe on your social media, let's look at the frameworks of how we're following up with those customers that are coming through our social channels. If Maya Bennett, for example, has 36 purchases across 50 interactions, she's got an 80% close rate. Recognize Maya for leading the team. Let's see what Maya's doing correct so we can train our other team members to maybe do what Maya's doing. In the same way, it will help you notice if you have interactions with no purchase outcomes, but maybe there's no associate attached. We want to make sure we're keeping track of the data so it responds correctly. And we even have the ability to take CSV files or those comma files, Excel files, and plug those into the system for you and for a business to bring that historical data forward in most cases. We'll notice that there's a demand signal for living room refreshes in this case, where there's 26 interactions site buying living room furniture of this reporting period we're looking at. So something about living rooms is really important. Let's tie into that. Maybe you want to target your best performing Zcodes, we'll get to that in a moment, with a mailer. Maybe you want to go after that and say, hey, don't forget about your living room this season, whatever the season may be, because right now your own sales data is telling you it's important to you. Different saved opportunities you should follow up on. All of this on an attention panel. And then it breaks down into conversion stories, whether you're getting more shots out of a first visit, which is fantastic, or maybe you're not getting it on the first time. Maybe people feel like they have to come back. And in some cases, that there's a roller coaster ride to business where different market facets, some people are ready to buy when they walk in, and sometimes the majority of people may not be. But when you use interactions tools like this and you put the data in real time, you get to keep your finger on the pulse of your business as it goes, and you're not caught by surprise 6 months later wondering why your revenue is dropping. Keeping track of
So,
things. Yes.
so Bryan, I would be remiss if I didn't stop you here just for a second, because some of these interactions that you're sharing and that you shared in the previous slide or the previous screen before you scrolled down were really specific and really I think would be data and information that most people would have no idea that it would not be bringing or pulling this together. They might not even be reviewing it at all. So is your system? I guess I know it's pulling this together, but my first thought is maybe if I'm an owner, I start thinking, well, how much time do I have to waste connecting all these parts? And maybe you're going to get there. You know, how do I get the data in here so that you can, Sentry can help me sort through all of it. So I'm just thinking of, okay, that's great, but is this just another headache to try and get it all in there?
Great question. So it's very, very simple. Our team is here to help you with the onboarding process of getting those forms set up. Whether it's maybe there's a kiosk for your employees where there's just a page that sits open like a Google form, and you fill out the form with really basic information. Like it may be three different things you actually fill out. Very, very basic information. Um, because the system's going to know what time you're filling it out. They're going to know who's filling it out. They're going to know where they're filling it out. They're going to know what register or location they're logged into. All of that is done for you in a flash. And then you just maybe pick off of a list that you create with us. We can help you do it. That says they came in because they needed a new couch. They came in because they wanted to look at a new painting. Whatever that reason may be that you got from that customer, you're going to have a list of a few easy choice options, and it will attach that into that interaction. So all this data comes populated just off of really quick and easy in the moment reporting and filling out these little snapshots of data. So you don't have to keep track of it over the long term or see long running sheets. The system tracks it for you. whether it's on your phone, whether it's on your iPad or tablet, whether it's on your computer, however you choose to interact with the system, it doesn't matter which system you're on or device you're using. It's going to be very, very simple to interact with.
That's very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. Um, and a couple other things just on this interactions intelligence things. You get to see your close rates by things like location and then heat maps, which can be really important when you're looking at ongoing traffic and wondering, when am I busy? Getting to see how many interactions happen on a weekday at a specific hour of time. Again, this is demo data, so it looks kind of flashy as if the store's open all the time. That's not necessarily the case, right? But whatever your hours are, you'll see a very natural map of your most common visited times. And that'll help you know if you have any lulls and if there's any kind of specials you want to run. Just snapshotted data under one little window that you can reference anytime. We also keep track of reputation through your Google page, your Facebook page, and even offer some help with Yelp, and then giving out one review link that you can send post sale with the click of a button, where that customer can choose from any of those available sources that we integrate with and can help you put into the software. And then they write that review, and you're good to go. If they choose three or more, they're going to be recommended to follow through to your links. If it's three or two or less, maybe it's a negative experience that customer may have had for whatever reason. Whether or not we agree with it as business owners is beside the point. That we'll have the opportunity to provide feedback. Now, per review platform regulations, you can't necessarily hard gate, and of course, they can always get to your public review sites themselves if they really have it that bad against you. But we do try to promote healthy conversation. So if someone has a negative experience with a business and they want to say 1 star, they'll have the opportunity to send you a message and say, this is why the experience was poor. And then you'll get that message and you'll have the opportunity to follow that message right on up to help prevent some of those negative experiences leaking in places you necessarily don't want to see them, because that customer's experience may or may not have been truthful or common to what the average experience is in your business. And I'd hate to see ratings tank because of somebody that has a reason to be negative. So reputations is something we keep an eye on. And the part we're very excited about is our market intelligence. It's coupled similarly to that interactions intelligence. And when we look at a market, especially for a franchisor, that's when the data really starts to come alive across your entire network, especially when we consider things like business growth. Where do I want to open? Where are my hotspots? Who's performing the best? Who's maybe performing not the best? Where are the areas in between? And what are my lookalike audiences? If I know that I'm performing very well in this demographic in this zip code, and I want to open I'm in Ohio, let's say, and I want to open in Indiana, what are my scorecard options in Indiana? It's all very, very easy to find because you have that customer data linked in the system. If you're somebody that doesn't tend to capture addresses, this tool really comes alive with address capture with those contacts. So we recommend you use more of a loyalty style program to incentivize that contact to give you, or that customer to give you, their address for reporting and purposes. And also, mailers never hurt. So if you, even in a day of digital craziness, we'll say, of all the digital tools we have in our pockets, physical mail still in some cases can be very beneficial, a helpful, we're still here and we still got you kind of a focus. So when we look at this market intelligence, you get to pick your reporting period, whether it's quarterly, monthly, you specify the dates you pick very specifically. We know what type of business you are because we set it up that way for you. You can compare your data now versus before. And I know our time is a little bit limited, so I'm going to kind of keep going through. But if you have questions, feel free to stop me. And right off the top, you get to see you want to defend and grow Denver, Colorado based on this network. So whatever's happening in Denver, let's look at that. Let's make sure we're defending our marketability, our market presence in that area first and foremost. And then we probably want to keep an eye on that zip code to see what other areas are like Denver, maybe around the country. Maybe you have a franchisee in your pipeline who's interested in opening up a location with you. What locations should we be entertaining from franchisees? What opportunities can we give them as suggestions of places to possibly look or keep in mind? Or opportunities come through our pipeline as franchisors, which ones should we be paying the most attention to, possibly, if there's multiple? What are our strongest options, potentially based on current performance data? So we get to scroll down and see the number of sales we've analyzed, the geography coverage. We notice there's a little bit of a gap here. We have 5,400 customers here, 8,700 receipts, and their address is missing. So there's a reporting gap. So we definitely want to strengthen, and maybe this network wants to strengthen their loyalty program to try to incentivize those address captures. Maybe we notice there's 701 receipts that are classified as walk-in. We didn't put a customer on it. We just sold them a cup of coffee, maybe. We want that customer data because of how it reports for you in this system. It's not sold, it's not sent, it's not put anywhere outside of this system. It's your data. Think of JG Wentworth. It's your data. Use it when you need it. You want to keep that very much secure, and it is very secure in our system. We're not selling it or taking anything like that, but it's only actionable if you get it. Get ideal customer profiles, which is the big one. So you get to see our top three. So we're doing really well in Denver, really well in Dallas, and really well in Columbus. And get to dive into those customers and purchases, the demographics on the zip codes. We get to dive into real census demographic data on Colorado, seeing that there's a population of this zip code of Denver. So now Denver's a city, there's multiple zip codes. So we know specifically in 80206, there's 24,000 people. The labor force has 76 participation. Your median household income is 101,000. So those things that are important to keep an eye on demographics, you can capture for any zip code that you're tracking and any zip code in the country, in fact. Again, as we look to expand those things. Some financial performance numbers, and then customer reach by zip gives you a really nice bar chart because I'm visual. I think a lot of us are visual. It's nice to see your top performing areas, as well as a map. Who doesn't like maps? So you get to see your stores all across the country and see all of these different stores. And if I pick fit locations, it's going to help me zero in on that. And then anywhere in this map list, I can see I've got a store here in Cincinnati in this zip code. And you can dive into that zip code and see that same demographic data. As well as customers, or competition is the other big part. You can see your competitors in that local market, in that zip code, and who you should be paying attention to, and their reviews. Last thing I'll mention here on this page, let's pretend you're in Atlanta, right, Tom? The Atlanta area?
Yes, that's right.
So let's pretend that you were maybe that this franchisor, Harbor and Hearth Furnishings, and maybe you are based in Denver. Maybe that's your home base, and you've spread out across the country with various franchisees, and somebody like you who's in Atlanta pops through, or maybe you just like Atlanta and you want to go see a game in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium and you want a reason to go and write off the trip. So you want to search Atlanta, Georgia, and then it's going to give you the zip codes that are scored most likely to be the best fit for you. Again, opening up those full zip reports and everything else, and as well as competition in that zip code that you should pay attention to. So everything is very cross-reportable, and you can keep an eye on exact areas you want to do. If you wanted all of Georgia, you can do all of Georgia as well. It's going to think for a moment and give you your best match zip codes the same way.
So, Bryan, this data that you're sharing here, from what it sounds like, then not only can be used to enhance existing locations or franchises that are operating, but also would you say this could be used in a recruitment standpoint where you're maybe talking to a prospective franchisee that's interested in a new market? Would you be able to use this to kind of help guide maybe what territories might be available, or how do you see that?
Absolutely. And as a franchisor, you should have an idea of where your spread is, of course, but because your stores are all connected in here, if you remember that Market Explorer tab or a map we had, again, you can see the stores highlighted on the map. So you know exactly where your stores are, and you can dive into any of those pockets and know. Or if you knew you wanted to open, let's say, in Kentucky, and you were in Cincinnati and you had some interest, maybe that Cincinnati name being right there on that border of Indiana and Kentucky, maybe there's some interest. You know that there's a lot of room to work right here in Kentucky. The territory is wide open. right? And then in the same way, so because we know it's wide open, excuse me, we can go down here and do the same thing we just did with Georgia. And if we know Kentucky's an interest, get those best opportunities in Kentucky. Or if you're somebody that wants to focus, let's see if I can spell today, on Lexington being a bigger city, same thing. You get to see your best match zip codes there according to already gathered census data, competition, and everything else.
Great. Thank you.
Absolutely. The last area I planned on spending some time with, again, we're talking about reporting. There's kind of two areas with this. One is our Century AI panel. This is a huge boon for your business in order to get insights even more quickly, because you just mentioned how much time is it going to take me to get the data in and figure it out, interact with it. Century AI is a panel you can ask questions to of your product performance. You can give it a single product name and it'll give you your metrics back really short, or you can make it talk more. I think a lot of us are cookie eaters. We like our little bite-sized pieces and then go deeper from there if it tastes good. If it looks bad, we're just kind of leave it where where it's at. So we like to spend time with that with our AI tool. Things like revenue, things like user performance, because it's in the system, the AI has access to it, as well as full baked notices and tasks and access to our support, and everything else comes all through this AI tool. Again, it couples very nicely with what we're about to say with reporting. So in this reporting tab has access to all of our different report types. So we do a basic sales summary over revenue for a period of time. Our default, because we like it that way, is year to date. So that's kind of what the system bases it on when you load the page. But you have access to any of these quick grab periods because you don't have to sit there and think, now, what were the dates of last quarter? Where am I in this quarter? Where am I going to go? If you want to see quarter, you can do quarter to date. You don't have to think about it too much. It's going to apply that for you, throw it in there, and you can see just July 1st through today's date. And it'll think for just a second and get you the revenue data and all of that. Again, we're dealing with demo data. And so sometimes it's a little finicky. But when we look at our sales summary and all these things, it pulls that open very nicely. And I promise after the call, I'll give you a link that you can see better reporting data. But things we get to look at are these types of reports where you can do sales summary, receipt statuses, card types, all these things that are super important for owners, drilling down by users, locations, registers. Again, as a franchisor, you want to have insight into the top level of your business all the way down to the bottom and see where those holes are that you might be able to plug. And these tools are what give you the opportunity to do it. But we have them grouped so they're easy to interact with. And if you only want to worry about your sales, it's all you got to touch. If you want to see a breakdown of some of the different areas you can break down, it's also very, very simple. So you can break it down by location, and are advanced. You can actually break it down by individual products, by the SKU level, by brand, by categories. There's all kind of breakouts we can do if you're somebody that loves data to get really granular with it. But if you're somebody that doesn't love data, that's okay. We still love you just as much, and you can get just the data that you want. Measures as well is a huge boon for data capture in your reporting, because you can grab all of these different measures and see as many of them as you want. So if you want to see items sold along with your revenue, along with the percentage that those items sold that made up that revenue were discounted, you can select all of those things all at the same time and see your live performance over that period of time without an issue. So between our report center, our contact panels, besides the normal point of sale things like inventory management, product management, opening up a location for a day, things like that are basic point of sale functions. Not to mention our integrated payments, where you can have your terminal sitting there, push the pay button, and it goes into the terminal. You get to do all those payment things, all very, very savvy. Payment links that you can send customers where they can see their cart data and sign for it and pay it all from those. We have all those functions baked in as well that should really come with any point of sale, especially being cloud-based. You can access it from any device, whether it's your laptop or your tablet or your phone. Doesn't matter where you are, your data follows you. The biggest bang for your buck with us, especially, is what you can do with the data once you capture it, whether it's our intelligence platforms or our reporting centers.
Beautiful. Well, Bryan, this is overview. I mean, the system is so comprehensive with all of the things that it can do. What's the best way for someone who says, "Okay, this is interesting"? How can they get in touch with you, learn more about what's happening? How can they do that?
If they go to CentriPOS.com, they'll be greeted with a website that has a bunch more information. A lot of what I just talked about. Some of it's can be very digestible. They can also dive in if they have more questions, and they can just click the Get Started button, or they can call me right from the website. If they have any questions, they can call me directly. Be happy to talk them through any questions and show them their own demo. Offer some trial experiences, see what we can do with their own data if they're willing to share that in advance, and just give them examples of how we can help.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, Bryan, this has been a fantastic overview and presentation. What I find most interesting with what you're providing here is just the comprehensiveness. So it can be someone that were to implement this, they can keep things relatively simple if they would like to begin with. For someone that's just kind of maybe new to experience kind of all this centralized information in one place, all the way to the robustness that you've described of demographic data and store helping you figure out locations and finding performance metrics of what's going on with how all of these things are interconnected. Because I do think it's interesting. So many times it's your social media feed and paid ads and walk-in traffic and billboards or whatever other types of awareness and marketing are being done are being pushed out there. It's oftentimes hard to gather how does all this fit together? How are all of these pieces and functions? Because to that customer that's coming through, they are seeing parts, maybe not all of it, but they're seeing parts of some of it and probably some combinations. So I really like how your solution helps tie a lot of these components together so that as an owner, a CEO, a founder, you can, as a leader of the company, you can start to get some data and some metrics to help you better understand the interconnectedness of all of these different various forms of marketing and connecting with your customers.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, perfect. Well, let's one more time, Bryan. What's the website and best way to get in touch with you before we break here?
Sure. If they go to CentriPOS.com, that's CENTRI dot, or excuse me, CENTRIPOS.com, they'll be able to be greeted with all the information they could want, plus really, really easy ways to get a hold of me and our team through some easy links right there on the page.
Yeah, perfect. Well, and the thing that I just saw on your website there that popped up that said onboarding with a real person. So in today's world, that's always a nice little feature and bonus to see that as well. So, well, Bryan, this has been a fantastic overview, and thank you for sharing it with our audience. And for those that are tuning in or would like to share this with someone else, we will have this live session uploaded and available for sharing through our YouTube channel and podcast channel here shortly. So thank you all for being here. Bryan, thank you again for the presentation. We hope you all have a great weekend, and we'll see you back for our next session.
Thank you, Tom.